First story. I demanded that my son not attend his graduation ceremony after his twin sister failed. The entitled son refused, so I wrote a letter to his college not to recognize my son's achievements, forced my family not to attend the graduation, shamed my son, and took my daughter on a vacation on the same day. Now I've lost everything, and I regret everything. I 45F am just a mum trying to hold my family together, and I'm being made out to be some kind of monster by my own husband and son. I genuinely don't understand how doing what's best for both of my kids turned into this much backlash. My twins Ethan and Emily just turned 18. My husband, Mark 47M, and I have been parenting together for nearly 2 decades, and while it hasn't been perfect, I've always tried to do the right thing. My parenting style has always lent towards emotional balance and fairness, not treating them identically, but being conscious of how different they are and responding to their needs accordingly. That's what being a good mother is supposed to be, right? Ethan and Emily couldn't be more opposite, and honestly, they've been clashing since they were in kindergarten. Ethan is driven, organized, rarely complains, and just performs. Emily is softer. She's emotional, artistic, and more easily overwhelmed. She's had issues with anxiety since she was 12. She's incredibly creative, she writes and paints, and her teachers say she's compassionate and insightful. But she doesn't do well with pressure. School has always been more of a challenge for her. And because Ethan is naturally good at things sports, academics, leadership roles, people always notice him first. I can't count the number of times we'd go to a family gathering, and someone would start by praising Ethan, and completely ignore that Emily was standing right next to him. It used to make her cry in the car on the way home. So yes, I've always stepped in to protect her confidence. If people were praising Ethan's academic awards, I'd gently redirect. Did you see Emily's sketchbook lately? She's working on a graphic novel. At parent-teacher conferences, when teachers compared them, I'd shut it down. They're individuals. Please treat them as such. I've always believed that the quiet, gentle kids deserve just as much space as the overachievers. Maybe more. And this has been a long-term issue, not just a graduation thing. A few years ago, Ethan got an award for academic excellence, and our extended family threw him a surprise party. Emily stood in the kitchen the whole time pretending to help with dishes just so she wouldn't cry. She said it felt like everyone was clapping for someone else's life while ignoring hers. That broke me. And it broke something between the twins too. Their relationships never recovered. Ethan brushes it off as her being too sensitive. But sensitivity is not a flaw. I don't understand why that's so hard for them to get. I've spent years being the only one who validates her emotions. Fast forward to this year. Senior year, graduation season. Ethan's been cruising all year. Emily has been struggling since the fall. One of her teachers left mid-year. She had a panic attack during finals, and she ended up failing a required class. Because of that, she can't walk with her class. When the official graduation letters came, Ethan was on cloud 9. He ran downstairs waving his confirmation email, already asking about invitation, suits, and how many tickets he could get. Emily just quietly walked back to her room and didn't come out for the rest of the night. I found her curled up under her blanket, sobbing. She didn't even want dinner. She said, "I don't even want to be in the same room when he starts celebrating." And I get it. The next few days were brutal. Emily wouldn't talk much. She skipped meals, avoided her friends, and stopped drawing, which scared me because art is usually how she processes things. I tried everything to lift her spirits. I told her she's still brilliant and that a failed class doesn't define her. She's already planning to retake it this summer and graduate late. But right now, none of that is helping her emotional state. She said she doesn't deserve to celebrate anything, and that she feels like a walking disappointment. Meanwhile, Ethan and Mark are excitedly talking about tux rentals and dinner reservations like nothing is happening. I asked them to be more mindful, but Mark said, "We're just proud of him, he earned this." Like Emily's pain is just background noise. So I sat with it for a few days, and finally, I came up with what I thought was a compassionate compromise. Instead of going to the graduation, we could do a family day instead. Something simple but meaningful. I booked a cabin at a quiet little lodge 2 hours away. It's peaceful, surrounded by trees and lakes. I imagined the 4 of us having a quiet dinner, playing board games and laughing. No pressure. No comparisons. Just family. Yes, I booked it for the same day as graduation. On purpose. Because if we went to the ceremony, Emily would feel like we were all celebrating something she lost. But if we were together, focusing on us as a family, then maybe she could feel included, even proud of herself in her own way. I paid in advance, And no, I didn't ask for input, because I knew Mark would shut it down immediately. He's never really gotten the emotional side of parenting. When I told them, Ethan looked at me like I'd set his car on fire. He said, "You can go if you want, but I'm not missing my graduation." Mark flat out accused me of being manipulative, said I was making everything about Emily again. Ethan added, "This is exactly why she never gets better, because you keep rewarding her for giving up." That one stung. I don't reward failure, I support my children. There's a difference. They've both iced me out since then. Mark has been bonding more with Ethan, helping him pick out a suit, scheduling a haircut, and going over post-grad plans. It feels like they've formed this little club I'm not allowed into. Emily barely leaves her room. She's not eating. She told me she thinks her dad hates her for ruining the vibe. And I just feel stuck in the middle. Like no matter what I do, someone's going to accuse me of favoritism. But isn't it more dangerous to ignore the child who's falling apart? I genuinely don't believe I'm doing anything wrong here. If anything, I'm trying to do damage control. I'm trying to stop a permanent rift between them, the kind of resentment that lasts a lifetime. But apparently, I'm coddling and controlling. I know it looks like I'm taking something from Ethan, but I'm not. I'm trying to give something to Emily. After that conversation, everything in the house shifted. Ethan stopped mentioning graduation at all. He and Mark would whisper about it in the kitchen, or go out to run errands, and come back with garment bags. Emily, meanwhile, shut down further. She overheard Mark on the phone calling my trip idea ridiculous, and later told me she felt like the problem child ruining everything. She cried so hard that night she got a migraine. Our dinners are silent now. Emily picks at her food. Ethan scrolls on his phone. Mark sighs like he's exhausted with me before I even speak. I try to lighten the mood, suggest a movie, make everyone's favorite meals, but it's like living with strangers. I keep telling myself that once we're at the lodge, they'll understand. They'll see what I'm trying to do. And I've tried to make it meaningful. I've planned little touches, their favorite desserts, a slideshow of family photos from when the twins were little, and a small cake with both their names on it as a symbol of unity. In my mind, it's about reminding them we're a family, not a scoreboard. But when I told Mark about the slideshow, he said, "You're treating his graduation like a funeral. He worked for this. You're punishing him." I don't see it that way at all. I'm trying to stop my daughter from completely falling apart. She already thinks she's a failure. If we go to the ceremony, it'll be like publicly confirming she's less than her brother. I can't stand by and watch that. Mark says, I'm teaching Emily that her feelings matter more than Ethan's accomplishments. Ethan barely talks to me now. He slammed his door when I tried to ask him to understand. He told me, "You're making me hate her, and I don't want to." That one gutted me because I know how deep sibling resentments can run. I'm trying to prevent that very thing, but apparently, I'm causing it. And yes, there's history here. This isn't the first time Mark and Ethan have decided I'm too soft. When Emily had a panic attack before her driver's test, Mark said, "She needs to toughen up," instead of comforting her. When she got dumped by her boyfriend last year, Ethan called her dramatic for crying. I've always been the only one in this house to take her seriously. If I stop now, what happens to her? We're a week out from graduation now. Ethan and Mark are still refusing to cancel. They've made it clear they're going, even if Emily and I don't. And honestly, I feel cornered. They're treating me like some manipulative dictator when I'm just trying to keep both my kids from becoming enemies. Mark keeps saying, "You're making this about you." It's not about me, it's about my daughter. Emily said, "I don't deserve to exist." I sat with her for 2 hours until she stopped crying. Ethan didn't even knock on her door. Mark went out for a drink with his coworker. I keep thinking, if I don't hold her up right now, she'll crumble. And yes, I know people will say, let Ethan have his day, but isn't he already getting that? Teachers, relatives, his dad, everyone is congratulating him. Who is congratulating Emily? Who is even seeing her? Everyone keeps framing this as me taking something from Ethan instead of giving something to Emily. I feel like the only person in this family who understands that empathy isn't optional. I've already paid for the lodge. It's non-refundable. I'm not canceling. I don't know how to make them see that this isn't about pride or punishment. It's about balance. How do I get my family to understand that being a mother means making sure no child feels forgotten? AITA? Comments. Comment 1. Holy hell, lady. That Unity cake line made me want to scream into a pillow. You basically told your son, congrats on working your arse off for 12 years. Here's a effing slideshow and a cake with your sister's name on it instead of your diploma. You don't want family unity. You want optics. You want to post smiling pictures in a cabin and pretend everything is fine while you bury the fact that you emotionally shafted one kid to bubble wrap the other. And you've clearly been doing this for years. You made sure no one noticed Ethan too much, because poor Emily might get sad. No wonder your son's checked out. You taught him that hard work gets ignored if someone else has feelings about it. And Emily, you've crippled her. You turned every stumble into a tragedy that had to be catered around. Life doesn't give out unity cakes. It gives out consequences. And you just showed both of your kids the wrong ones. Comment 2. All right, I'm going to say something no one here will. I get why you did it. I raised 2 sons. One was sharp as hell. The other struggled every damn year. And yes, I worried more about the one who hurt easier. That's what parents do. We protect the kid who breaks faster. But, and this is where you messed up, you don't protect one by punishing the other. You needed to find a way to lift your daughter up without kneecapping your son. This wasn't the move. You could have celebrated Ethan and had a separate healing day with Emily. You chose an ultimatum instead of a compromise, and now everyone's resentful, especially the one who actually did nothing wrong. Also, your husband's not emotionally stupid just because he doesn't cry on cue. You act like the only one with empathy, but you're just centering pain over progress. Try apologizing before you lose them both. Update. Well, the situation imploded. Not because of what I did, but because people in this family can't handle emotional complexity unless it fits their black and white checklist of earned versus unearned. Since posting, I've lost my husband, my home, and for now my relationship with my son. But I haven't lost my principles, and I stand by my decisions. I took Emily on the trip. Just the 2 of us. We left on graduation morning. She was still unsure and said she felt like the bad guy. But I told her the truth. Her pain isn't selfish. It's human. We got to the lodge around noon. I made her favorite lunch, and that night we had our own celebration. I'd brought a memory slideshow, all their childhood photos, focusing on the times they were close. Finger painting at age 4, the science fair when they both helped each other, and their 10th birthday blowing out candles side by side. I sent that slideshow to our family WhatsApp group with the caption, "What really matters is not a stage or a speech, but siblings who grew up side by side. Both deserve to be seen." That's when SHT hit the fan. Ethan replied within minutes. "Thanks for the reminder that my achievements don't mean SHT to you." Mark didn't reply at all. But his sister, Carla, did. She said it was insane to post a nostalgia reel instead of acknowledging Ethan's actual milestone. I didn't respond. But I had already done something else that apparently made things worse. A few days before graduation, I privately messaged Mark's parents, my sister, and a few close family friends who were planning to attend. I asked them to consider skipping the ceremony, not to punish Ethan, but to protect Emily. I wrote, "Every seat cheering for Ethan will feel like another reminder to Emily that she's nothing. Please think about whether your presence is support or harm." I thought some of them might understand. Instead, it backfired. One of them, probably Mark's cousin, screenshotted it and sent it to Ethan. He found out the morning of graduation. I wasn't there, but apparently he told Mark he felt humiliated, like I was trying to erase his day. So yes, they both went to graduation. Alone. Ethan walked the stage. I didn't see it. But I saw the photos later. Mark's mum posted one and tagged us all. I untagged myself. That night, Emily and I had a small celebration at the lodge. Just us. I baked a resilience cake with her name on it. We talked, watched old videos, and for the first time in weeks, she smiled without faking it. I posted one photo of us to Facebook with a caption, "Proud of my daughter for surviving a hard year with grace." There's more than one kind of graduation. Ethan saw it and blocked me. Mark came home the next day furious. He said I was emotionally abusing our son and accused me of turning Emily into a forever victim. I told him he had no idea how to support emotional needs, he only knows how to reward visible success. That led to a bigger fight, where I brought up something I've suspected for a while. His work friend Jessica, who texted him at 1 a.m. and whom I saw him lie about meeting up with. He didn't deny it. He just said, "You really want to go there now?" I packed bags for me and Emily the next morning. We're staying with my sister for now. The last piece I'll admit here, even though I know it'll be twisted, is that I sent a letter to Ethan's college advisor. Not to sabotage him, but to flag something. I wrote, "As a mother, I'm concerned about my son's growing emotional detachment from his sister and family. He's under a lot of pressure to succeed and has developed a cold, hostile attitude towards emotional conflict. I worry about how he'll cope in a high-stress environment where people aren't as logical as he expects. Please be mindful. That's it. Nothing dramatic. No accusations. Just concern. But when he found out Mark must have told him, he texted me, "Don't ever contact me again." So now I'm here, estranged from my son, probably getting divorced, and watching my daughter sleep more peacefully than she has in months. For people asking if I love Ethan, I do. I love him with my whole heart. But I will not pretend that his GPA entitles him to trample over his sister's mental health. I have protected her because no one else would. I've celebrated her quiet wins because the world ignores them. I've centered her because she's never felt like she mattered. I tried to include Ethan in that. I tried to make it about all of us. But he and his father chose pride over empathy. So yes, I missed my son's graduation, and maybe that's something I'll carry forever. But I couldn't sit in a stadium full of cheers, knowing one of my children felt like a ghost. If that makes me the arsehole, fine. But don't mistake silence from a son as proof of wrongdoing from a mother. Some bridges burn because they were never built with care to begin with. Comments. Comment 1. You're trying to weaponize empathy as justification for sabotage. What you did wasn't emotionally intelligent parenting. It was a textbook example of emotional enmeshment and covert narcissism. You needed Emily to be broken so you could play savior. And you needed Ethan to succeed so you could villainize him for it. You've been doing this forever, silencing praise for Ethan, rewarding Emily's collapses with attention and theatrics. And then you feel abandoned when the men in the house start putting up emotional boundaries. That's not abandonment, that's them finally resisting being puppeteered. You didn't fall on a sword for your daughter. You built the sword, handed it to your son, then screamed when he didn't cut himself with it for your narrative. Comment 2. Oh no. Oh no. I'm Carla, not literally. But I am the aunt who gets the late-night text from your kind of mom, asking me to just skip the ceremony to spare someone's feelings. Like, no. It's not my job to feed your emotional delusions. I RSVP'd to see Ethan walk because he earned it, not to sit in a effing cabin watching a slideshow of finger paintings from 29. You say you love your son. Then why the hell did you undercut his biggest milestone, sabotage his ceremony, and email his college to suggest he's emotionally unfit? Love isn't hijacking your kid's future because his sister is sad. You don't get to set fire to your family and call it empathy. You don't get to erase someone's achievement just because you failed to raise emotional resilience in the other twin. This isn't a sad story. It's a cautionary tale. Update. It's been a few months since my last post. I've read a lot of the comments, even the nasty ones, and I've been trying to process everything that's happened. But the fallout has been worse than I ever imagined, not because of me, but because nobody in my family seems capable of grace or understanding. Emily and I are still living at my sister's apartment. What was supposed to be temporary has turned into an indefinite arrangement because I can't afford to move out yet. Mark filed for divorce, but hasn't finalized it because he wants to see how custody shakes out. Custody of an 18-year-old, mind you. He can't legally take her away, but he's made it clear he'll support Ethan financially and leave me to figure out my own mess. And Ethan, he's completely cut me off. Not just me, my sister, my mom, and a few cousins. Everyone, he thought, might be on my side. He blocked my number, blocked my Facebook, and even blocked my work email after I tried to send him a neutral check-in. He's telling people I sabotaged his graduation and tried to ruin his college life. He's 18 and acting like a divorced spouse. The last straw for him was apparently the email I sent to his college advisor. I explained this in my last post, but I'll repeat. I didn't sabotage anything. I didn't ask them to rescind his acceptance or punish him. I flagged that my son was under enormous stress and had become emotionally detached from family. That's not malice, that's a mother worrying. But he screenshotted it, posted it to his private Instagram story, and wrote, "My own mum tried to tank my future. Everyone now thinks I'm some scheming villain when all I wanted was for someone to watch over him while he's away." And Emily, the girl I did all of this to protect, she started to resent me too. She retook the class she failed over the summer and re-enrolled for the fall. And now she's spending less and less time at my sister's apartment. She's going to therapy at the school's insistence. She's made new friends. She's even started seeing a boy. And she's told me point blank that she feels responsible for the family implosion. That she never asked me to skip Ethan's graduation. She's pulling away. She leaves early for school and stays out late. When she's home, she's on her phone or locked in her room. She used to curl up next to me on the couch. Now she sits at the other end. I asked her if she's angry, and she said, "I'm just tired of being the reason everyone hates you." I did all of this so she wouldn't feel like the family screw up. But now she thinks she is the screw up because of what I did. Financially, things are bad. Mark stopped transferring money for household expenses when I left. I'm working part-time admin jobs, but it's not enough. My sister's been patient, but I can feel the strain. She asked me last week when I plan to get my own place. I don't have an answer. A few weeks ago, at my sister's urging, I saw a psychiatrist. I've been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. I'm still processing it. In some ways, it explains everything: my intense reactions, my fear of abandonment, and my need to fix emotional situations before they get worse. I'm not using it as an excuse, but it's a reason. My family doesn't care. I told Mark, and he said, "That's not news." Ethan hasn't acknowledged it at all. Emily just said, "Okay," and went back to scrolling on her phone. It feels like nobody gives a damn that I'm sick. They just keep treating me like the villain instead of realizing I was struggling. People act like my diagnosis is proof I'm toxic, when it's actually proof I need help. I wanted help years ago, but Mark always brushed off therapy as self-indulgent. Now everyone's so harsh. Mark is using my diagnosis in divorce filings to make me look unstable. Ethan tells people I weaponize mental health to get away with abuse. Even my sister has started spending more time out of the apartment. I know I've made mistakes. I know skipping the graduation was extreme. But everything I did came from a place of love. I wanted to protect my daughter from a breakdown. I wanted to stop my children from hating each other. I wanted to be the emotional glue because nobody else was even trying. Now Ethan won't talk to me. Emily's halfway gone. My marriage is dead. I'm sitting here with a diagnosis that explains my entire life. And instead of rallying around me, they've left me to drown. Everyone is so eager to call me manipulative, controlling, and narcissistic. Nobody wants to admit they ignored my mental health for years. Nobody wants to see that I raised 2 kids practically alone on the emotional front. I still love my son. I think about him every day. I look at his old photos on my phone and cry. I imagine him at college, eating alone, and I ache to text him, but I can't. I want him to know I never tried to ruin his life. I want him to know that everything I did, every bad decision, was me trying to mother the only way I knew how. But right now, I'm alone with Emily drifting away, my son gone, my husband probably gone for good, and a diagnosis that everyone is using as a weapon instead of a wake-up call. How do you make people understand that you weren't being cruel, you were being sick? How do you rebuild when everyone you love thinks you're a monster? Second story. My daughter's school bully choked her. The teacher didn't inform me to protect the bully and gave my daughter a present to stay silent and not tell me. I effing lost it. Just found out that my youngest daughter, 8 years old today, was choked at school by a little boy. She asked her nanny to tell me what happened because she was very upset when she was picked up after school. It's her dad's side's dinner day. Apparently a classmate told the teacher, but nothing was done. So when she was released, she told the teacher, and the boy's mom was called. And my daughter got a birthday present after from the teacher. Sounds more like hush money. I was not called by the school, and I'm livid. I'm going to the school tomorrow to rip some skin off the teacher with the principal. If there's supposed to be zero tolerance of bullying, why is this being tolerated? This to me is more than just playground roughhousing. Comments. Commenter 1. Wait. The teacher paid your kid. When you say hush money, do you actually mean money? OP. No. But a special treat is a bribe to me. OP responds to a long comment about letting her daughter know that she is taking action at the school by talking with teachers and the principal. OP. I did let my daughter know last night I was going to handle this at the school today, and I did. Unannounced. She and I and her stepdad, me husband, are always talking about how to handle different obstacles, and that we will always have her and her siblings back. I also told her that if anyone ever tries to hurt her in any way, to do what I've always taught her: scream at the top of her lungs. I said, stop touching me. Commenter 2. This level of negligence by the teacher is so disgusting. Did they even tell the principal what happened? Please report back tomorrow and tell us what happened. Your daughter deserves much better, and I'm glad you know it. Commenter 3. Advocate for your daughter, but also think that if this little boy has been exposed to choking behavior, he may not be safe either. I feel sad for everyone involved. Commenter 4. The teacher is definitely protecting that bully for whatever known reasons, since they didn't inform you on what happened. That bully is protected like a near extinct species. Change schools. Update. I met with the administration over the school today, unannounced. I brought with me the above letter for the principal and the teacher. No, the principal and assistant principal had no clue about the incident. Surprise. Damage control was immediately apparent from them. It was confirmed that policy was not followed, and I should have been informed immediately upon knowledge of the altercation, and my daughter should have seen the staff nurse, who would have also called me. An investigation has officially begun, and my daughter, along with any other witnesses, the boy in question, and the teacher, are to be questioned regarding the event. Also, education is to be had with this teacher about upholding district policies around bullying, communication, and discipline. I am to have a response on what has been done to handle the incident by Wednesday of next week. I'll update again when I hear something. The fact that the principal wasn't aware of the situation speaks volumes about the teacher. And I made it clear I am loud about advocating for my babies. Thank you to everyone who commented on my original post for the encouragement and reassurance that, in fact, I was never overreacting. Screenshot of the letter. Transcript of OP's letter to the school. On September 25, 2025, when I picked up my daughter, redacted, from her nanny at 6 p.m., she reported to me that another student, boy's name, had placed his hands around her throat and choked her. She told me, "I couldn't breathe, Mama." When I asked her if she was choked, she said yes. She also reported that he repeatedly yanked her arm until it hurt, and she continues to be sore this morning, 9/26. According to redacted, his teacher, she was informed by one student while this was happening but did not hear the student. When daughter got away from the boy, she told him as teacher herself about the incident. The child in question and daughter were talked to by their teacher to determine if the allegations were true. She said student did admit to choking and pulling her arm, and MS teacher wrote him up and told her that she'd give her a special treat the next day, 9/26. An apology was made by MS teacher, who also mentioned that she thought the boy's parents were called. As a very upset and concerned parent, I would like for a few things to be acknowledged and addressed. Another student has put his hands on my daughter in a violent manner. I was not notified by any of school elementary's staff. My child was not examined by the staff nurse to determine if she was injured and needed medical attention. The standard protocol for a strangulation incident, or any other violent incident on school grounds, was not followed. 2025 to 2026 District-wide K-12 Student and Parent Handbook, page 63. Upon the finding by a school administrator that a student has committed an act of bullying or is a victim of bullying, the administrator or designee shall notify the parent, guardian, or other person having control or charge of the student by telephone call or through written notice, which may be done electronically. The school not addressing such an incident can make way for the possibility of more escalated occurrences towards other students and could lead to serious cases of bullying and injuries. The zero-tolerance policy for bullying has clearly not been held to the standard that the district promises. I feel that if situations like this aren't handled correctly, something worse may happen in the future. This boy could be very dangerous to other children and even redacted adults in the future. In addition, I would like to report that I have learned that another little boy, redacted, who isn't in MS teacher's class, has been hitting, pushing, and kicking other children, including my daughter. It continues to happen quite often, and no reports have been made from the students at school to their teachers or other staff. In conclusion, this letter has been hand-delivered with the intention of informing you of the incident, my expectations, and my intent to keep my child and other children free from harm. This is my most important concern: student safety. I intend to meet face-to-face with you as many times as necessary for a resolution and explanation as to why I wasn't immediately contacted at the time of the event, how this will be handled going forward, and the action plan to address it. I have the expectation that you will evaluate the lack of priority for safety and transparency with diligence, and that I be kept in the loop. I request to receive written updates via letter or email correspondence. I will always be the biggest advocate for children, and I expect the same from the schools they attend. Thank you, OP. CC. Other recipients. End of transcript. Comments. Commenter 1. I'm not a parent. I don't know how you guys don't find these little gremlins and dropkick them into their next life cycle. That's horrifying. OP. I told the principal that I wrote that statement with steam coming out of my ears, and I was finding it very hard to keep my composure seeing how a child just assaulted my daughter. She was very humble, at least to my face, and apologetic. I'm hoping I don't have to go back up there. All composure will be lost next time. Commenter 2. You should CC that to the superintendent of the district and to your state education board. Nor, absolutely absurd. OP. My plan is to forward this letter along with whatever communication I receive from the school with their resolution to the BOE. Editor's note. Board of Education. How is OP's daughter doing? OP, she's all right. But she doesn't want to be around that boy anymore, understandably. I took her to see her favorite aunt and uncle, and they loved on her and checked on her. She and I have been talking about how she feels about what happened, and it seems that because I assured her I was handling things, she's calm. But I did check her out after I met with the principal, because I just wanted to have eyes on her. Commenter 3. Glad there is some action being done. You're a great mum. Don't let any of them make you quiet. Fight for your daughter. Commenter 4. Nor. They didn't follow their own policies. There's a good chance you could discuss it with a lawyer, and if you have proof, possibly open up a police report on the matter. That might be an overreaction. A stern letter demanding the school do better, and that you want to know how they will. Not at all. Update. So, as y'all know, I went up to the school unannounced Friday afternoon. The principal had no idea what I was talking about, but assured me that she would get to the bottom of it all. This was around 1 p.m. on 9/26. At roughly 5 p.m. that same afternoon, I received a phone call from my daughter's teacher advising me of the incident and apologizing for not calling me the day the incident happened. She stated, "I just didn't know how to tell you." What a load of crap. I let her know that if I had been called Thursday afternoon, I wouldn't have had to make a trip up to the school Friday, and we wouldn't be in this predicament. I'd be more understanding and patient with her and the school, but that's not what happened, and I expect immediate repercussions for all responsible parties involved. She again apologized and ensured that she was going to handle the boy and has written him up and contacted his parents. After I made it a point to go speak with the principal. Shows she never had intentions to in the first place. Yesterday the principal met with my daughter, the boy in question, and the other boy that had been pushing and kicking kids at recess. Both boys admitted to what my daughter described to her principal, so both of them were expected to receive consequences equal to the seriousness of the offense. Her principal called me around 5:30 p.m. yesterday evening to let me know that she has taken action towards the bullies, and she has also contacted both sets of parents to advise them of their children's poor behavior and the consequences they would receive. Per school policies, I was not able to have details on what disciplinary actions were assigned to each student. But because my daughter and the boy who choked her share a classroom, I can confirm that he was checked out before lunch, and directly after, my girl met with administration herself. This leads me to believe that he has been suspended. I just don't know for how many days. While in conversation with the principal, she advised me that she met with all of the teachers to have additional training on proper ways to report incidents such as this, and how to avoid having them in the first place. She let me know each teacher has been educated on how to keep a better eye on the students during recess. They're not out to socialize with each other, but to teach the children proper ways to play with each other, avoiding violence or acts of bullying. I thanked her for filling me in and handling this situation with urgency. But I expect better communication from the school, and her standards shouldn't be any less than that either. It might be over right now, but my trust has been broken to the point where I'm not sure they are 100% honest with us parents, and they haven't been open and transparent with incidents similar to what my daughter went through. I hope this isn't a trend that I just stumbled upon, and I hope that this never happens again to any student or family. Thank you all for the encouragement through this. I appreciate the advice and reassurance through it all. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.